people I'm comfortable with behind closed doors when I'm sharing my story. But I don't say it boldly because there wasn't a conviction in my story. It just happened many times by many different people. There was never a conviction though, so I was always told, I published my story. I literally published my story in book format that you can buy on Amazon, and through that entire process, everyone told me I had to change their names because there's no conviction. So I had to protect them. I was the victim. I am the survivor, and I still had to protect them. So tonight I'm going to say his name.
Yeah.
Just one of many people, far too many men who inserted themselves in places they didn't belong. Hello, Peter. You may be wondering why I'm writing you after all these years. It's been 20. Did you know that? It's been 20 years since you inflicted your evil desires on my innocent body. Do you even remember? I've written so many letters over the years as part of my own healing process. I have written letters to myself as a younger version of me. I've written letters to all the people in my life who knew what happened, did nothing to protect me, nothing to defend me, and barely showed any compassion towards me. I've even written letters to my husband, profusely apologizing for entering our marriage with so much baggage. But I've never written you. Not yet. So, why now? Well, because I'm whole now. Because after all of those years of pain and torment and heartache and working my butt off to be healthy, I'm whole. So, why not? Let's not get into all the gory details of what happened all those years ago, the months that you spent physically and emotionally and sexually abusing me. I remember very clearly your twisted smile as you saw my face and the fear on it. And I remember how you relished in my shame and my submission. Let's not talk about that. Let's not get into any of those details. What I want to do is I want to tell you who I am now. You see, when we first met, I was 12 and completely naive. I thought that when adults showed me any kind of attention whatsoever, that's how they showed me love. And I believed, because I had no sense of value or boundaries, that I showed them love in return by doing whatever whim they asked. So when I was 12 and no wasn't a word I was allowed to use with adults, which you were, by the way, an adult, and certain family members were commenting on how sweet and how doting you were, I thought that was love. How disturbing. How disturbing of your intentions, of my perception, of those family members who encouraged and giggled at your affection towards me. How completely twisted. Then at 15, when we met for a second time, and your physical affection had become more bold, I was still so unaware of my own boundaries and my own value. So as I approached dating age, I still had not received any kind of confirmation or conversation from my parents that no was a word I was allowed to use for unwanted touches. I look at my daughters now at 6, 5, and 3, and I think to myself, there is no way that they don't know what the word no is. Even if that means that they say no to me when I want to hug them goodbye or give them a kiss goodnight. They know beyond a shadow of a doubt they're allowed to tell me no, and they do. Because their body is theirs. It belongs to them. They have that right. But I didn't know that. I don't remember ever hearing that. So along you came, charming my family, intellectual, European, showing off your mad cooking skills, making my family laugh, mostly at my expense, and I was expected to go along with it. He's just teasing you, Lyria. Look how sweet he is, brushing your hair. That's just how European men act. You're being too sensitive. I was always being too sensitive. I was always the problem, but I wasn't. And I know that now. At 20, the third time that we met, I remember that's when you started repeatedly and violently raping me. And I was already broken. So fighting back, it wasn't even an option at that point. Even when I cried and I asked you to stop, I begged you to stop. Your intentions were clear. You were on a mission, and there was nothing that I could do to stop that. But oh, how I wish I could stand before you now. I wish so much I could let you see what you created with your vile and abusive behaviors. It was only for a season that I was broken. It was only for a short time, although it felt like eternity while I lived there. But the power I have now in knowing my worth, in knowing my boundaries, it would probably crush you. See, you're the kind of man, Peter, who thrives on weak people. You love people who are broken and hurting because they're easily manipulated. You can use them as easy targets to do what you will. And you did that with me as a child, but you also did it with my parents. You targeted weak-minded people knowing none of us would stop you. How horrible for you. How pathetic it must be to live a life like that where you feed off of soft-hearted, poor in spirit people. But I'm not poor in spirit anymore. There is a fire deep within my being that is masked by empathy and compassion for others. Those are very authentic character traits I possess that I want people to see. But behind that is a Valkyrie, ready to go to war with anyone who decides to cross my boundaries again, who decides to cross my dignity again, or my children's. I don't do weak anymore. I don't do helpless, naive, tolerant, submissive to anyone who tries to destroy me. That time has come and gone. I have been created in a new image, a strong one, with a sword in one hand and a shield in another. So I would love to stand before you now. I'd give you a similar smirk that you gave me all those years ago when you had the upper hand, only now I would have it. There's a glint in my eyes that would make you think twice before ever opening your mouth towards me. Your actions decades ago set into motion a creation of something that none of us expected. I would be willing to bet that nobody who knew me back then would ever think I would become the woman I am because of all the damage that you did. And I kind of love that. I love proving people wrong, especially all those people who tried to control me and manipulate me through their abusive actions. I wonder, actually, if I'd even be the woman I am if I hadn't had to endure your abusive hands and your words as a teenager and adolescent. Maybe. Maybe not. You were a part of my story back then, Peter, and for many years, you were the nightmare in it. Well, I guess you can stay part of my story for now. But only because with you in my past, my present looks so much more beautiful. So you can stay for the time being until I get bored of you, I think. And then when I talk to people about what I've overcome, I won't even mention your name. Because for me, if you were to leave this earth without a second thought from me, that would be one of my greatest victories.